Thank you for staying with the Hallowed Chambers. Now, my guest today is an honourable member of the House of Representatives. His name is Honourable Ademorin Kuye, and he is the chairman, House Committee on Public Assets. It's good to have you on our program once again.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's begin with this very sensitive matter, which is currently on the front burner of Nigeria's public discourse, and that is the recent remarks by U.S. President Donald Trump about Nigeria and, the threats to invade Nigeria because of alleged Christian genocide. Now, there are a lot of comments that have trailed this particular label. Some are in support of the U.S. invading Nigeria. Some are saying, hey, we're a sovereign nation. This shouldn't be happening. What's your take?
Well, let me take it from the angle that I feel that the President of America, President Trump, should try and understand that the time of politicking is over for him, and that the time that he is right now is the time of governance. And, whittle down his rhetorics and vituperation, impulse reaction to situations. I think the American government right now do not have sufficient information, and that's why that kind of reaction will emanate. And I believe that if the government is professional enough to relate with the Nigerian government, they'll get the whole gist of the matter and work with the Nigerian government to ensure that this terrorist group, the Boko Haram, that's been terrorizing the country for so long, the issue can be jointly addressed, with their technical know-how, with our intelligence, local intelligence. We can match these two together and achieve positive results for the betterment of all of Africa.
Well, there's the tag right now of this Christian genocide, alleged Christian genocide. And a lot of people will quite agree that Nigeria has a huge security challenge right now as we speak. No one is denying that. Well, some people will also say that is it right to pin it on President Tinubu, because this did not start in his administration. It started with Goodluck Jonathan, escalated in Buhari's administration, and now we have it still in full motion under President Tinubu. Is it right to pin it on him? And so far, so good. How would you say he has responded to this threat from insecurity and also from the foreign nations, this threat? Would you say he has handled the situation diplomatically? So
well, let me start by saying that, it's not correct that it started during the era of President Muhammadu Buhari. It actually started in the time of Obasanjo, when the then leader of the group was killed by the federal government, and then it transcended to the time of Jonathan, and at that time, there was so much. They were almost in Abuja. There were bombings in Abuja. Even the embassy here was bombed. So, but under Buhari, they were able to push them back a bit, and then with all the military coup happening up north, upper part of Nigeria, many of them began to come in again, and it's unfortunate, using that word, Christian genocide, scares me. Any kind of violence to disrupt the good work that the Christians are doing. Because a lot of Muslims in the north are getting converted to Christianity. And of course, you will expect some kind of hatred coming out of it, and then some people will want to take laws into their hands. Because I tell you for free, In 1999, between 1999 and 2023, in Kaduna, you rarely find a Christian representing them in the National Assembly. Today, we have, I have my friends who are Christians. I have Amos Daniel. I have Amos Magaji.
So you're saying that the North is tolerant to the Christians?
Tolerant, but we cannot rule out the radicals. We must state unequivocally that Nigeria remains a secular state as provided for in our constitution. And no government of Nigeria is allowed to put one foot above the other.
Well, let's move a little away from that and back to the House. You sponsored the motion that led to a very heated debate in the House over which committee should probe the alleged irregular allocation of Lagos International Trade Fair Complex. Why was the issue so contentious?
Well, I think it's just a misinterpretation of the standing order of the House by the chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, my very good friend, Reverend Welfare. And then, secondly, is the fact that I noticed that because the Committee on Public Assets is coming into our system for the very first time. This is the very first time that we are having the House Committee on Public Assets. So many of our members are still not used to it. Public assets. And the place has a master plan. In the course of our investigation of the use of that asset, we discovered that some indiscriminate allocations have been made by the management to the extent that the purpose for which that place was set up is now being defeated. You now have residences inside the trade fair. And one begins to wonder, what's the management doing? So we said, okay, we don't want to assume anything. Let's call for an investigation, invite all the parties, the people whose houses were demolished, who are saying that they have titles, they have this. Let's look at the kind of title they have. Now, who allocated to them and for what purpose? And then we look at all of those. Those are things that reside within the mandate of the House Committee on them. But unfortunately, some of our members thought that, okay, it should be joint committee, the Committee on Commerce that is overseeing trade fair, international trade fair. And we said, what we're looking at, what this motion seeks to investigate is not the activities, the businesses that is going on there, but the allocation of the assets, the land assets, the physical asset there. It's just what we want to look at. And, it became so much argued about, a lot of our members stood up to address it, Unfortunately, we had to step it down, And then maybe another day.
All right, we'll still come back to it, but that'll be right after this short break. Don't go anywhere. There's more for you on the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I write to request the kind approval of the National Assembly.
Behind every decision, every vote,
The ayes have it.
and every heated debate lies the heartbeat of democracy.
This matter is very, very important. I therefore rule you out of order.
Welcome to the place where it all unfolds. Every week, I take you inside the inner workings of the assembly, where laws are shaped, decisions are made, and the future of the nation is decided.
The ayes have it.
Join me, Tijesu Adeoye, and other seasoned experts, analysts, and lawmakers at the National Assembly
as they uncover the real stories behind the headlines
and offer unfiltered insight on the most pressing issues of the day. This is your front row seat to the heart of power. Watch the Hallowed Chambers every Saturday at 9 p.m. only on TVC News.
We're glad to have you back. You're still watching the Hallowed Chambers, and we still have with us in the studio Honourable Ademorin Kuye. Now, speaking of this bill, which you said has been stepped down currently, beyond the rivalry, what's at stake in this Lagos trade fair probe? Is it corruption, political interference, or economic mismanagement? And can you confirm whether there are vested interests trying to influence the outcome of this investigation?
Well, for me, it's only if we carry out this investigation that we can actually establish what transpired. But to the best of my knowledge as a lawyer, I know that Lagos State government, by virtue of plethora of Supreme Court judgments, have the mandate to give approval for whatever building, whatever. Even if the land have been properly allocated by an agency of the federal government, assuming without conceding that it was properly allocated to them, still there is need for state government to. So for me, I have no issue with Lagos State government over the demolition and whatever. You know, some people try to politicize it, but we look beyond, because we are leaders in our own right, and we have responsibility to ensure that we protect federal government interests even within the states. So that's exactly what this investigation is trying to look at. We have received complaints of illegal allocation and reallocation, and even, allocation of one piece of land by the management to more than 2, 3. That the government is now being asked to refund and all of that. So but we don't want to suggest anything that anybody is culpable. And what we intended to do is not to shunt anybody. It's also put the record. Let's have the record. Let's know whether the federal government is actually getting what they are entitled to, what is due to the federal government from those transactions. And a lot of them have been investigated. We've been able to recover nothing less than $3 million US, in outstanding leasehold fees from some of the lessees to that agency. There's been collaboration with some state governors, so that they help us to secure some federal government assets within their territory.
From your findings, how many of these government assets are currently lying idle, abandoned, or underutilized? Because some people claim that these properties have become breeding grounds for corruption and illegal occupation. And as well, Nigerians are hoping to see a public record or a digital register where they can see how these assets are being recovered and what they are going to be used for. How is the National Assembly also pushing to have this accountability tool in place?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. And you'll recall that I mentioned on this program before that the House Committee on Public Assets was able to push a motion through for enumeration and verification of all public assets within Nigeria. And after then, we have equally pushed through, not completely though, an amendment to the Ministry of Finance and Corporation Act. That one has been done. The public hearing has been done. We're just going to conclude on that very soon. And we've been working with Ministry of Finance Incorporated. I've been informed that they have engaged estate surveyors and valuers to cover the whole ground. I think they've engaged close to 50 or 60 estate surveyors and valuers to go around the states. I think they allocated them to different states, and I believe that they have started the work. Very soon, Nigeria is going to have just one platform where we can identify and pinpoint all the assets of the federal government. That's in the pipeline. That's going to be done very, very soon.
All right, and the number of assets flying?
The number of assets, it's massive. It's massive. It is massive. Now, let's look at it this way. There was a time we were operating regional governments. And then we had, like, Western region, many federal government assets in Ibadan. Some in Ondo, Akure. Some in Osogbo, where you have the train stations. Massive land. We have night posts all over the country. Some of them moribund, they are no more in use, but they still remain federal government assets. If we don't take possession of them, local residents will take them. There was a Nitel asset lying all over the place. A member just petitioned me that the Nitel property in Ife, dilapidated and all of that, is being inhabited by criminals. It's now hard out. I've written a letter to the Minister of Communication to inform me, to tell us what they're doing with that asset. And there's so many like that all over the place. They are in their thousands, my dear. They are in their thousands.